The Caribbean Sea shimmered under a crescent moon, waves cutting softly against the hull of the Venezuelan frigate, ARV Mariscal Sucre. On the bridge, Captain Ramon Uzcategui adjusted his headset, eyes locked on the radar display. 3 blips appeared, slow-moving, evenly spaced, unmarked tankers sailing under false Liberian flags. The encrypted transmission from the Coastal Command had been clear. Convoy heading east by northeast, believed to be transporting crude oil under secret Chinese charter. Intercept discreetly. No engagement unless provoked. The room was thick with tension and diesel-scented air. At 02:47 a.m., radar contact confirmed. The Venezuelan Navy had found Beijing's secret lifeline. Through the darkness, the ocean seemed unnaturally calm, as if holding its breath. Uzcategui raised his binoculars, scanning the horizon. His second officer, Lieutenant Valera, whispered, "Sir, no AIS signals. They've gone dark." Uzcategui replied, "Then they know they're not supposed to be here." He ordered the Mariscal Sucre and 2 corvettes, Carina and Yecuana, to move into formation. Triangular pincer maneuver, standard blockade pattern. Every deck light dimmed. Engines throttled to low sound mode. Venezuelan sailors tightened their harnesses, eyes glowing faintly from hoodie reflections as they manned Exocet missile launchers and autocannons. Inside the command center, encrypted chatter between ships painted a picture of imminent confrontation. Target Alpha heading 85 degrees east. Distance 4.3 nautical miles. Possible escort detected. On screen, thermal imaging revealed a shadow cutting through the waves. A Type 054A frigate, unmistakably Chinese-made, but flying the flag of Belize. The discovery froze the room. "Beijing's here," Valera muttered. "They're really escorting a smuggling convoy inside our waters." Uzcategui's jaw clenched. "This is Venezuelan jurisdiction. They'll learn that tonight." He keyed his comm. "Transmit formal warning to all vessels within 10 nautical miles. Unauthorized transport of crude through Caribbean waters violates International Embargo Code 4727. Identify or turn away." His voice was calm but heavy. The reply came 90 seconds later, low-pitched and defiant, in Mandarin-accented English. "This convoy is under civilian operation. Any interference will be seen as hostile." The bridge fell silent. The officers exchanged looks. They'd heard that tone before. The same tone used by foreign navies that believed no one would dare challenge them. "All hands, condition red," Uzcategui commanded. Claxons wailed through the hull. The ship's bow lights illuminated briefly before switching to tactical red. Sailors sealed hatches. On deck, the autocannons rotated toward the horizon sensors, locking onto the lead tanker. Overhead, a single Venezuelan K-8W light attack aircraft roared past its beacon, slicing through the night, a show of force meant to signal that Caracas was watching from above. Then silence again. The convoy's tankers slowed. The Chinese frigate adjusted its position, placing itself directly between Mariscal Sucre and the lead ship. Uzcategui understood the message: protection. "They're daring us to cross the line," Valera said quietly. "Then we'll draw the line ourselves," the captain replied. He ordered a single illumination flare to be launched. It arced high into the night sky, exploding into white fire that bathed the sea in daylight. For a fleeting moment, the massive tankers came into view, rusted, disguised, but unmistakably loaded. The decks were lined with sealed pipelines and heavy cranes, and on the stern of one ship, faintly visible under scraped paint, were Mandarin characters reading Zhonghai 07. That was the proof Caracas needed. The convoy was indeed Chinese. A hush fell over the crew. Everyone knew what this meant: confronting China directly without American backing in the Caribbean, a sea Beijing had quietly entered under the radar. Uzcategui's voice broke the silence. "Record all visuals. Forward to command. If they won't stop, we'll block their path." At 03:09 a.m., the Venezuelan Navy executed the intercept. The Mariscal Sucre surged forward, cutting across the convoy's trajectory. The two corvettes closed in from the flanks, engines roaring through the black water. On the Chinese frigate, spotlights ignited, sweeping across the Venezuelan ships. Radio chatter exploded, warnings, demands, threats. "You are endangering international commerce," shouted one voice. "You are stealing our sovereignty," Uzcategui countered. The tension was suffocating. One wrong move could turn the Caribbean into a flashpoint between China's shadow fleet and a defiant, sanctioned nation unwilling to kneel. As dawn began to creep over the horizon, the Venezuelan Navy had done the unthinkable. It cornered China's secret convoy. 3 oil tankers, 1 Chinese escort, and a storm brewing across the Caribbean. The horizon bled into crimson as dawn illuminated the tense standoff. The Venezuelan frigate, Mariscal Sucre, now stood broadside to the lead tanker, her cannons glinting gold under the rising sun. Spray from the waves hissed against the hull as engines idled at combat-ready power. The Chinese escort frigate, now clearly identifiable as Hailing 542, had shifted into defensive posture, deck crew manning CIWS turrets, radar domes spinning. Both sides exchanged no fire, but the silence carried more danger than any missile launch. On board Mariscal Sucre, Captain Uzcategui's hand hovered near the comm toggle. "Send final warning," he ordered. A young signal officer, voice trembling, transmitted on all maritime channels. "Chinese convoy, this is Venezuelan Navy. You are in violation of embargo and operating under false registry. Cut engines and prepare for inspection." For 30 long seconds, nothing. Then, a distorted voice crackled through stand-down Venezuelan vessel. "You have no authority here. These ships carry humanitarian aid, food, medical supplies." The claim was absurd. The ship's manifests were empty, and their heat signatures showed internal tank heat, consistent with crude oil. Uzcategui exchanged a grim smile with his XO. "Aid doesn't heat at 90 degrees Celsius. Within minutes, Venezuelan intelligence drones launched from Carina compact VTOL craft, equipped with multispectral sensors, circled above the convoy, transmitting live thermal feeds to Command HQ in Caracas. The evidence was irrefutable. Every ship was brimming with heavy crude oil destined for transshipment via West African routes to Chinese refineries. Caracas had exposed one of Beijing's most clandestine smuggling corridors. By 06:25 a.m., the Venezuelan President's Emergency Council convened at Miraflores Palace. Orders were relayed directly to Mariscal Sucre. "Hold the line. Do not engage unless fired upon. Beijing must understand Venezuela defends its waters." It was a political gamble of the highest order. Venezuela, a nation deeply indebted to China for reconstruction loans and oil-backed credits, was now publicly confronting its creditor. The diplomatic consequences were unthinkable, but within the ranks, morale surged. For the first time in years, the Venezuelan Navy was defending its own sovereignty, not someone else's agenda. Meanwhile, aboard Hailing 542, Commander Zhao Wen was under direct satellite link with Beijing's foreign ministry. "You must secure the cargo. No aggression, but do not allow inspection," the voice ordered in Mandarin. Zhao knew the implications. This convoy wasn't just about oil. It represented China's quiet dominance over Venezuela's export routes. Losing it meant exposing Beijing's shadow operations across Latin America. He looked through his binoculars toward Mariscal Sucre and muttered, "They've chosen a dangerous game." At 07:03 a.m., the skies above the standoff roared. 2 Venezuelan Su-30 Mk2 fighter jets screamed across the clouds, trailing contrails in tight formation. They weren't armed for strike, just air policing, but the message was clear. Caracas had escalated. The Chinese frigate's radar tracked them instantly, but Zhao gave no fire order. Instead, he turned to his comms officer. "Activate satellite uplink. Patch visual feed to Beijing." Within seconds, every detail the Venezuelan blockade the oil tankers halted in the Caribbean was being broadcast to command centers thousands of miles away. Then came the unexpected broadcast. Venezuelan state media interrupted regular programming, airing live footage from the Mariscal Sucre's bridge. The nation and the world was now watching. To the people of Venezuela and to the international community, Uzcategui declared, his uniform, crisp voice steady. No foreign power will dictate our seas or steal our resources under false flags. We act under the law of sovereignty and defense. His words echoed across shortwave frequencies, cutting through static and propaganda alike. In Beijing, foreign ministry officials were caught off guard. The incident wasn't supposed to be public. Within hours, global networks picked up the headline, "Venezuelan Navy halts secret Chinese oil convoy." Washington's State Department remained cautious but intrigued. The Pentagon's analysts began tracking the situation quietly, repositioning satellites and surveillance aircraft over the Caribbean. By midday, both fleets held their ground. The tankers rocked in gentle waves, anchored under the watchful aim of Venezuelan guns. Inside the Chinese escort, tensions rose. Commander Zhao received a chilling coded order. If compromise imminent, destroy, record scuttle auxiliary ship. That meant one thing. Beijing was prepared to erase the evidence rather than let it fall into Venezuelan or U.S. hands. At 12:45 p.m., sensors aboard Yecuana detected abnormal heat signatures. One of the tankers, Shanghai 07, was venting fuel from its lower valves. The crew realized what was happening. "Sir, they're preparing to sink it," Valera shouted. Uzcategui slammed his fist on the console. "All ships, prepare rescue teams, move now." Alarms blared as the Venezuelan Navy scrambled to prevent a full-blown environmental catastrophe. The sea was about to ignite, both politically and literally. As the afternoon sun climbed higher, its reflection shimmered across a nightmare in motion. The Shanghai 07 listed heavily to port, black smoke curling from its stern vents. The Venezuelan crews could smell the crude before they saw it, an acrid scent spreading over the sea like a warning. "She's venting full tanks," Valera barked. "If that vapor catches a spark, we're done." On Mariscal Sucre's deck, sailors rushed with foam cannons and chemical suppressors, desperate to contain what could become one of the Caribbean's worst oil spills. Uzcategui stared through his binoculars. The Chinese frigate Hailing 542 had not moved an inch. Its silhouette loomed like a ghost above the smoke. Over the comms, Zhao Wen's voice came through, terse and metallic. "Stay clear. Our ship will handle this incident." "Incident?" Uzcategui snapped. "You're sinking evidence, Commander. You're drowning your own lies." But Zhao didn't reply. Instead, Hailing 542's bow doors opened, revealing a small drone submersible being deployed into the water, most likely to collect data or erase logs before the ship went under. "Sir, explosion risk, critical," shouted the engineering officer. "We must fall back." But Uzcategui refused. "No. If they burn it, the world won't believe us." He turned to his helmsman. "Push forward minimum distance. Get visual confirmation. We'll record everything." Engines thundered as Mariscal Sucre advanced into the danger zone. Crew members clung to railings as the sea bubbled with oil, the water shimmering like molten glass. Overhead, the Venezuelan Su-30s returned, circling low with cameras trained on the scene. Every second counted. At 01:17 p.m., a blinding flash tore through the air. A muffled boom followed. A containment pipe had ruptured aboard Shanghai 07. The deck erupted in orange flame. Sailors dove for cover as shockwaves rippled across the water. Within minutes, thick columns of smoke rose thousands of feet high,